in order to get the data from the database, we need HTTP access. Angular comes with inbuilt HTTP access. So let's see how we can enable that, and let's see how we can use it. Let's navigate to app.module.ts over here, and right below our service, I'm going to say import, type in HTTP client module from at Angular common HTTP. Save this, and in the imports we'll import HTTP client module. Now let's navigate to our myservice.service.ts over here, and right after this I'm going to create an array called private data. I'm going to assign it to a blank array. Now right below that I'm going to create another private, say API URL. I'm going to set this one to this URL. So basically what's happening here is we're getting some dummy data. This is a place called JSON holder, and from here we can get the list of users. It's all dummy, you can use it for practice. And once we have got that, I'm going to create a constructor, and inside the constructor I'm going to create private HTTP colon HTTP client. I can see that I'm getting an error here. That's because I already have a constructor. I'm going to get rid of this one. Now we don't see any errors. After this, I'm going to create a function called getData, and inside that we'll say return this dot http dot get. And since this is a function, we need to load something inside this. I'm going to load this dot API URL. You can close this. Now let's go to our app.component.ts here. I'm going to go to the next line inside the ng-on init, and before that let me create a variable, call this as public person data. I'm going to set this to a blank array. Okay, so let's get back to our ng-on init, and I'm going to use this dot myservice dot get data. I'm going to use the subscribe keyword since it is a function, and inside that I'm going to pass in the data. That data will have some information. The information is this dot person data. I'm going to create an array for that, and that array will be from as an object dot keys. That key will hold a data. Let's give a comma here. I'm going to specify k with an arrow mark, which is going to hold the array of the data by the single variable as the k. Let's close this. Now to output this, so I'm going to say console.log, and inside that I want this dot person data. Close this. If I get to my browser, right click and inspect. Let's go to the console, and you can see that we have an array with 10 items inside it, and we have all the users' name inside this. Let's get back to our code. Let's see how we can use this in our app.component.html. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. So I'm going to create another row. So div.row. Inside that we'll say div.call lg4.call md4. Inside this I'm going to use ul.listGroup, and inside that I'm going to use the li to display all my data. Now to display that I'm going to use star ng for index, and since this is the item, I'm going to get rid of this extra asterisk, and since I'm having a list of items, the list of items is person data, and here I want to list out all the items. The items which I have is item dot name. So let me save this. Now if I get to the browser, I have the complete list of the people. Now you can see that I still have bullets, but it's not completely styled. So let me add some style to that. So get back to the code. And here I'm going to add a simple class. And that's going to be list group item. Save this. Now if I get to the browser, okay, so we have a clean list of people. Here you can actually target like what data would you like to display. For example, we are trying to display the person data as a name. And if you want to display a specific details, for example, so if you go to console, you can see that we are using the name, but you can also use the username, email ID, and a lot of other options which you have inside this array. So you can target which element would you like to display, and you can display it over here.